Okay, and we're also recording. We are live and we are recording.
We're already on the Facebook page?
No, we're not on the Facebook page.
We're just recording our webinar.
Yeah, and we'll wait until a minute or so afterward as we have people getting settled before we start on the Facebook page.
Awesome.
So we are live or we're not live yet?
We're not on Facebook, but the webinar is, people are starting to join.
I don't like that white thing on top of my head.
So for those of you that have joined us, welcome. We're just letting it take a couple more minutes for people to join in here and get connected. Welcome to the Holiday Stroll Red Talk. We'll get started soon.
Oh. Yeah. No.
Nancy, will your cat be making an appearance?
I shut the door.
Lynn, will the dog be showing up today?
Well, hopefully if no UPS driver comes or anything, we should be okay.
Makes it more interesting.
Yes. I'll try and mute if I see him drive in.
Welcome everybody who's joining. We're just waiting another minute or so for people to connect and then we'll get started. We should have holiday music playing in the background, but I don't know how to do that.
I'm gonna need that light on so I can see.
Hello, everyone. Just a reminder that for those of you that are joining us, you can chat in any questions or comments. You'll be able to interact with us in that manner. We can't see you or hear you, but we will be monitoring for your messages, and we encourage you to chime in and ask us some questions or share a memory, and this will be somewhat interactive as we talk about the holiday stroll this afternoon. We could all sing a Christmas carol.
Already a person chatting?
Jean.
Yeah, so Jean said, hi, Nancy. I see the white thing is gone. Smiley face.
What white has got my hair? Oh, well now it's back. Must be Jean Dosdall. Funny.
And
I should have told me.
as would be in any award show, I have to say hi to my mother, who I believe can see and hear me, but I can't see or hear her. But your name is there, Kay, so hi, Mom.
Hi, Kay.
Hi, Kay.
Okay.
This Oscar is for you, Mom. All right.
I think that we can go ahead and get started here. If you give us just a moment, for those of you who have joined us, we are going to go live on Facebook. And so we're going to make a little adjustment here and get us started, and then we'll get kicked off.
Hoping that Zoom and Facebook are playing nice on the World Wide Web today so we can be live.
And we are almost there. Okay. It's preparing to live stream now.
So exciting.
We do a drum roll.
Yes. Who's talented that can do a drum roll out there for us?
Oh, I got.
Oh, was that not good?
How's it looking?
It is looking, I am just putting a title on. And okay, here we go. I'm ready to push the button.
We're ready.
Okay, welcome everyone. We are so excited to have you join us here today. We are Red Wing Ignite, and I am Stacy Nimmo on behalf of Red Wing Ignite, the Executive Director. We're very excited to have you here for a special edition of the Red Talks, where we're going to be talking about the Holiday Stroll that takes place every year right here in Red Wing. Red Wing Ignite is an innovation center and also a co-working space. We work to support small business owners and entrepreneurs. And we also work within our community and advanced manufacturing to help provide internships and opportunities for students. And so we love to do these Red Talks where we highlight area businesses and also special activities that happen in our community. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Shannon Harris, and she's going to give us a little bit of history on Red Talks and then introduce our special panel today.
Thanks, Stacy. Hi, everyone. Welcome. We're really excited to have you join us today. As Stacy mentioned, this is the December edition of the Red Talk. The Red Talk stands for Reinvention, Entrepreneurship, and Determination. And we started this series back in February as part of the Big Turn Music Festival in cooperation with Sam Brown, trying to think of another element that we could add and be part of in that festival in February. So on a cold February Saturday, we had two really incredible panels here in our building, back when we were all meeting face to face and going to big music concerts and festivals and events. Seems like a long time ago. And we decided afterwards, it was fun. We had positive feedback. We thought it was a good kind of time frame and format. And so we thought, well, why don't we do that more regularly? Why don't we adopt this Red Talk series idea and have it become something part of our regular programming? So we took a few months off to think about what we wanted it to look like. And we started it then in May. With our previous executive director and current board member, Adam Gettings. And so each month from May through now, we've heard from an entrepreneur that's somehow connected to Red Wing or Red Wing Ignite. They may have a business here in town or right in the region, and we've had some really inspiring stories. And so I would encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. They're on our website under Red Talks, and listen to some of the wisdom and really successful journeys that they have shared along the way. So as we were thinking about December, we thought, what better time than to highlight the Holiday Stroll? And when you think about reinvention, entrepreneurship, and determination, this started from absolutely nothing. This started from an idea that was brought to Red Wing by Nancy, who we'll hear from. So we think that there's nothing better to be proud and to celebrate than the economic impact and the entrepreneurial impact that the Holiday Stroll has had for 19 years, if you can believe that. This was the 19th event in 2020, which obviously looked very different than some of the previous ones. But so joining us today is this great panel, Nancy Knudsen, who was the original chair of the Holiday Stroll, Tracy Hardyman, who has been involved for many, many years and is currently chairing the event, Lyn Nardinger, an important partner with the City of Red Wing, and Vicki Riester, a longtime volunteer and committee member. And an artist extraordinaire. So I'm going to let each of you say hello and maybe just how you're connected or share a memory quick, and then we'll get started with the history. We'll start with you, Nancy.
Hey, hi, thanks Shannon and Stacy and Red Wing Ignite for acknowledging the Holiday Stroll. That means a lot to me. Even though I haven't been involved with the stroll for the past 9 years, the stroll will always hold a special place in my heart.
Tracy?
Hi, I'm Tracy Hardyman, and I'm the current Holiday Stroll chair. And I work with Downtown Main Street as a board member. And I started back in 2011, where Nancy Knudsen kind of handed me the reins to this event. And I shadowed her for a year, and off I ran. And I don't know if I hope that I'm continuing this event the way Nancy had always envisioned it to continue to go.
Thanks, Tracy. We're happy to have you today. Vicki?
Hello. I'm not coming up.
You're there. You're good.
Am I good?
Yep.
Okay. I'm Vicki Riester, and my husband and I have owned a business here in Red Wing for 45 years. One of my favorite committees that I have ever been on has been the Holiday Stroll. I've met many friends that will be friends forever, and we just had a wonderful time doing this. Some years more than others. Some years it got a little hectic, but it was a wonderful committee. It's a wonderful activity that we have in Red Wing, and I hope we can continue it for years and years. Thank you.
Thanks, Vic. And Lynn?
Hi, I'm Lynn Erniger. I'm with the City of Red Wing. I work at the Public Works Department. I am Deputy Director of Public Services, and I began helping with the Holiday Stroll in 2008, I believe.
Great, thanks, welcome. We're really excited to have each of you with us today. And as all of you watching and who will see this in future days and months ahead, as you can imagine, there are dozens of people that we could have included on this panel. And so we wanted to just, try and give a representation of how it started and past leadership, current leadership, certainly highlight the partner that the City of Red Wing has played, and some of the great committee volunteers and artists, which Vicki is also. So we're going to start with how in the world did the Holiday Stroll get to Red Wing? And we're going to start by hearing from Nancy. There was no Holiday Stroll 19 plus years ago. And so how in the world, Nancy, how did this start? How did we get here?
Yeah, in 1983 or so, I moved out to Red Lodge, Montana. And that's where during the holiday season in Red Lodge, they had a tradition where the whole community would come together, and then it'd be for like an evening of just having fun, celebrating each other and celebrating the season. There was Christmas music that was going throughout the whole community, throughout the town. There was people grilling out in front of their businesses. Businesses had treats, there was carolers, music. It was just a really fun event, and it kind of it hit your heart because you're walking through town. There was a horse-drawn wagon that was going through, and it had snowed previously, so there was snow, and it was just this really neat feeling that I got. So I partook in that for many years. I came back to Red Wing in '96. And in 2002, well, right prior to that, I was on the downtown Main Street promo committee. There was probably about 6, 7 of us. And I said, I have an idea. Downtown Main Street was the shops were kind of hurting in some ways. And we thought, how can we bring people to the downtown? And I said, well, I got this idea. And so we went with it. So our first annual Holiday Stroll was in 2002. And so it started off with like a dream of mine, and we're gonna put this together. So at first it started off over in LaGrange Park. We had chili feed over there. Santa was strolling downtown. We had a big lighting ceremony. There was window display gifts. Downtown merchants offered refreshments, treats, special sales. There was gift certificates, prizes. So it kind of gave people a reason to come downtown. So we kind of planted the seed. So that was the first annual. The second annual was like, oh my God, things are really working. But it was like our committee was like a page out of the Norman Rockwell calendar. The Red Wing Holiday Stroll was planned to bring the community together again in the spirit of the season, and to encourage people to shop local. We wanted people downtown and to shop. So we kind of went with the Norman Rockwell theme, the simpler time of Christmas, kind of celebrating each other, celebrating Christmas. And one of our things was to always try to plan new events, but we had to plan a committee. And so I kind of started handpicking my committee. And I'll talk a little bit later about the committee, but we kept adding and adding things. The second event, we added the horse drawing, we added the live nativity, the window of gifts, kettle corn, strollers dressed up in vintage costumes, carolers singing on the streets. YMCA had a mitten tree. We had performance from the high school band, so playing Christmas carols. So when you were downtown, you had the Christmas feel. This was all going on. And again, we wanted to keep adding things that would bring people downtown. But we wanted to keep it in that Norman Rockwell feeling. You know, Red Wing is a historic, downtown is a historic feeling. Let's try to keep with that feeling. So the next event, or the next annual, third annual, the Sheldon Brass Band got involved, and they put on a Christmas concert over at the Sheldon Theater. Cinnamon sugar roasted almonds. The committee were roasting almonds. The local Boy Scouts were selling Christmas trees. There was a silent auction at the St. James Hotel for wreaths and Christmas trees. On to the fourth end. And Vicki, please, Vicki was my chair. Shannon, you guys, if you have anything to say, please don't feel like
I was gonna say here where I don't think people probably realized that it was fairly quickly that there were other community groups that had to be tapped and recruited to keep expanding it. I mean, there were only so many things that the committee could be in charge of, and even the subcommittees. We needed and wanted various groups to be engaged and to be part of it. And I think we were so impressed by the local churches and some of the local nonprofits. And like you say, the Boy Scouts. I mean, it really was amazing how people came to the table and wanted to participate and wanted to be part of something that they could see was really building into an annual tradition that was growing and growing and growing. So, you know, it maybe wasn't that the very first year or two, but it didn't take long before people realized this is something significant. This is a big deal, and we want to be a part of it. This is our community. And so I think that was so fun to see, Nancy.
And Shannon, you're right on, because on the fourth annual, we had the quilt group. They wanted to raffle off and to display a quilt, you know. But also the fourth annual, one of my favorite things, was we put a tree up on Barnes Bluff. And I just have to tell people a little bit about that. Years and years and years when I was a little girl, there was a tree across Main Street, which would have been UFTA, Moments on Main, or Whimsy right now. And back then it was Nibel's on the corner and the St. James Hotel, and it went across Main Street. And I'm like, oh my God, I would love to put that there. Well, my committee's like, no way, MnDOT will never let you do that. And so, but I had this tree in my mind that I wanted this tree. So the tree thought, okay, this is what we're going to do. We're going to put it up on Barnes Bluff. And my committee's like, you're crazy. We're never going to get a tree up there. Well, if there's a will, you guys, there's a way.
That's right.
And I had my committee backing me, and we got a 1,300-foot tree and about 1,300 pounds up Memorial. And that was the fourth year we lit that. And then that's part of the lighting ceremony. So that was one of my highlights of the stroll. But then we started to add canned goods for the food drive, the fifth annual. We had the pancake breakfast at the Elks with Santa. And then we started we had grand marshals of the parade.
Yeah. What year was the first parade?
The first parade was 2006.
If there was such a thing as Holiday Stroll trivia, I'm afraid that you would win.
No, 2005, excuse me. And no, 2005 was the first parade. But we had Marianne and Frank Farron. We had Grand Marshal was Dave and Diane Hallstrom. Some of these, and the Red Wing Shoe, some of these were from people that were celebrating anniversaries, and there were some big anniversaries, 150 years, 100 years. Savander Heating, not in downtown, but a very big member in the community. It was their 70th. So there was things, you know, for the for the grand marshals that we picked accordingly, as you know, Dave and Diane Hallstrom had been a part of the Red Wing community, their
Yep.
parents, their grandparents forever and ever. So now the 6th annual in 2007, we all of a sudden had some events happening where not under our control by any means, but the state had decided we, well, and maybe the city then, that we couldn't have the chili feed and the lighting ceremony over LaGrange Park across Main Street because so many people were starting to gather.
Yeah.
And it become, you know, a safety issue. So we then decided to go into the parking lot. And I think that worked out. That's where we had the chili feed.
So Nancy, this would be a good time. We're gonna do a poll because we want the audience to guess at how many gallons of chili were served the very last year that we had a chili feed. So go ahead and vote, audience members, for how many you think we served.
And then there, speaking of a little bit of Holiday Stroll trivia, Nancy, there was a question that came in, and that question is how was the Holiday Stroll funded in the very beginning, and what kind of budget was there, and then what does that look like now today?
Okay, I can tell you about how it started. I went out individually and talked to all my sponsors. And so it was not an event to support downtown Main Street. It was to support the Holiday Stroll. So we came up with, okay, for the lighting ceremony, we had this person and it was worth $200. We had Vic, I believe it was. The parade was Fairview at that time, and it was X amount. So every event I had was sponsored locally by businesses and never came out of downtown Main Street or anything like that. It was, I found the sponsors and they were happy to sponsor us. And then what we made off the almonds, we made off the ornaments, the chili feed, the chili feed was a Goodwill donation. All that money we collected went back to I decided it would go back to downtown Main Street. And at that time, they were hurting. I hate to say that, but they were.
Yep.
So it did help support them, but it was never meant to be that type of program to support them.
So two things. One, as one of the things that we had to deal with in the very beginning where the city was such an important partner was, you know, it's not free to have security and close streets and have barricades. But the city was very good to us for many years, and we were able to get a lot of those services in kind. And so that was a huge gift because there is every barricade costs money, doesn't it, Lynn?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a process.
Right.
Yes, there is a process. There for many years, I believe the city did a lot. We had some tough times for a few years. I don't know, remember, Nancy, did we make the Holiday Stroll cover some of the cost a few years
Yeah,
or not?
yes, we did. We had to go out and get the barricades and we paid for the barricades. But again, that money was part of a sponsorship.
No. And now the council has accepted that as a city event, and now they sponsor it. They cover some insurance, they cover all the barricades, in-kind costs, things like that, police and whatever else is needed.
But those are big in-kind donations. Having been on the committee for a number of years, I know that there were a couple of years in there where we had to figure out how we were going to pay for, you know, barricades and some additional officers and things like that. Understandably so. Those were some hard years, but it all adds up. And so it takes a wide range of partnerships. Just the hours that Nancy and others on the committee spent meeting with the police department and the fire department. And, you know, it's one thing to think, oh, it'd be fun to have a parade. Well, it's another whole thing to close the streets and actually make that happen and ask the fire department if Santa can ride on their truck. So it's taken such an immense amount of planning and coordination and compromise. Didn't always go exactly how everyone wanted it to go, but, you know, safety had to be the most important thing. We have to remember too that we have a highway that runs through our town. And so there's some things that even the city doesn't get to have jurisdiction over. So can we go back though, Nancy, and look at the chili poll? So we had people guess, and unfortunately the winning number is not 175. It was 140. We had 140 gallons that was donated by Treasure Island the last year of the chili feed. So good job, guessers. Okay, Nancy, back to you.
Well, and see, the county or the state decided we couldn't, when we started that chili feed, the chili feed has always been a huge success. And I shouldn't be calling it feed because my committee got really not upset, but said we can't call it, should be sampling, because there was some people that would come with a gallon or 5 gallon, excuse me, bucket and want to go home with chili for supper. So we had to change things up a little bit. But what was the biggest thing was the state or the county said we couldn't combine chili. There was a chili committee that made chili at the Elks, and we would make like around 40 gallons. And this was in the beginning. But then there was restaurants that would do anywhere between 5 and 10 gallons of chili. Okay, so we probably started off with right around 100 or 80 gallons right in the beginning. But that just, again, because of the stroll grew so much, the chili grew. So the county says no more combining. You know, there's germs, you know, and if somebody gets sick, we won't know where. And the Redmond donated the coolest, it was a big copper kettle. Warmed it by propane, and we had these big paddles to stir it. And we had, volunteers that came and served the chili and did whatever. And so that's when we moved that over into the parking lot too. That year, Burnside Pluckies got involved, the 4-H club. They were selling luminaries. So again, like Shannon said, we were adding things, and the community were getting more involved in wanting to do things. That year, the Grand Marshal was the Republican Eagle. It was their 150th anniversary. In 2008, we were selling Holiday Stroll buttons to coincide with the medallion hunt. We had a medallion hunt. We gave out clues. You know, back then they were in the paper. They were in the local businesses, the clues. And that was kind of a success. We're starting to get more people. Again, it goes back to people. So the Red Wing Lions Club, they started selling warm bread pudding. There was cotton candy, community, or what was that? Connecting communities. They were for. We had concessions. You know, we had people came. They wanted food, and some of the restaurants, or no, I shouldn't say some. All of them were full. People didn't want to stand in line, you know, or wait. So we had cheese curds, onion rings, French fries, and that really didn't go with the Norman Rockwell feeling, but we had to have food for the people. I mean, they were down there at 4 o'clock, 3 o'clock, they were hungry.
It was a festival, and so there needed to be, you know, kind of quick grab and go festival food. And, you know, as you're describing the additional things that get added and as it starts to scale up, it became from nearly the beginning very obvious that there was a significant economic impact. It would be fabulous if we were able to calculate a number after 19 years of what it has meant to local retail establishments, restaurants, hotels, all of those things, because, you know, it became something where you would run into someone on the streets that said, oh my gosh, we never miss it. We come every year. You know, we live in Hudson, or we live in Chicago, or, you know, we always come to Red Wing for the holiday because we want to stay for Thanksgiving because we want to stay for the holiday stroll. You heard that over and over and over again. And Tracy and I both had the opportunity to own businesses downtown during this holiday stroll period. And it really was amazing, even though, you know, maybe the primary goal wasn't for people to be in shopping during those few hours. And honestly, there were years that they could barely shop. There were so many people in our stores. But it was a gift. And I know there are retailers in town still today that have been here all these years that would say, what an amazing gift it has brought to the whole community, but to their individual businesses as well. And then not too many years into the holiday stroll, of course, Small Business Saturday started. So, you know, many of the stores then pivoted the next day to Small Business Saturday, and you had kind of this momentum and this energy. I know we would see people, you know, come back over the weekend that had been downtown and just were having so much fun on Friday night. Little hard to shop with the small kids, or, maybe the husband wasn't terribly patient. So the girls would come back Saturday and do their shopping. But I don't want us to lose in this conversation the size and scale of the economic impact that this event has had and will continue to have on Red Wing, and how fortunate we all are to be a part of that.
And to go on, 2009 8th annual, we added the reindeer, and the kids, people at the reindeer would walk through the street downtown, and people would love to see the reindeer.
Did Santa have to give that okay? I mean, how does that work when the reindeer have such an important job to do at the North Pole?
Well, Santa had to be in the parade and come in on the fire truck.
Okay.
And to start off our holiday stroll and our Christmas season. And
So maybe he brought them, the reindeer, Santa brought the reindeer?
Correct. And that year, Red Wing Shoe was the Grand Marshal. That's the year they opened up their new retail store. And we felt as a committee that was really fitting to have those as a Grand Marshal. Beyond that, I guess again, I want to, like I've always said, Treasure Island at that very end with 140 gallons of chili. And I remember putting that over at Riester's Refrigeration, and there was a couple of the committee members that it was still pretty frozen. And they were like, oh my God, what are we going to do? But you know what? The committee pulled it through.
Turn up the burners.
Yeah, and last couple more things is the 10th annual. This was pretty special. So I had the tree up on Barnes Bluff, but when you look back at some of the old holiday Christmas movies, there's always a tree downtown somewhere. And I kept looking and looking, and oh my God, I'm like, how could I not seen this? The City Hall, they have a 73-foot evergreen right there in front of City Hall. And so with the help of XL Energy, I talked to them, and they donated all the lights, the string lights, and the Red Wing Fire Department. I don't know if they volunteered or if we asked. I'm not sure how that all went, but they ended up putting the lights on the tree. And that year, Grand Marshal was the Barrel House. It was their 150th year, so they were the Grand Marshal. But I have to do this because never in my wildest dreams, and I have said this over and over, that I ever think that the Holiday Stroll would be what it is and what it was back then. And I could have never ever done it without my special committee. And I know it's a long list of names, but I have to, and I want to give them credit, because it would never been possible. So Vicki Riester was my co-chair, and for some reason, somehow Vic and we clicked, and what I couldn't handle, she handled, and what she couldn't handle, I handled, and we made a really good team. Cindy Talby, Shannon Harris, Joni Juilliard, Deb Moan, Pastor Mark. He was like, I'm only the only male, I think, pretty much on our team.
He did represent the guys for quite a while.
He did, and he was in charge of the weather. Remember, we would tell him.
Yes, he was. Yes, we did have a pastor in charge of the weather, and some years that worked out well, and some years not so much.
One year it was snowing so hard, I called him up and I said, Mark, please, go the other way.
Turn it off.
Carol Harley, Patty Brown, Deb Keller, Wendy Ehlers, Sarah Plum, George Hines at the end, Cheryl Duffy, Cheryl Copland, Val Becker, Cindy Carlson, Jean Dosdahl, Angie Falls, and Anna Bowman, Lisa Daniels, Jamie Kells, Cheryl Duffy, Cheryl Copland, I said her, Julie Shrimp, Lori Simonson. And, there might be a few that I missed, and I really, really apologize. But again, thank you. And another huge thank you goes out to Michael Murphy. He was a huge asset. He did all the, yeah.
So amazing. Yeah.
So amazing.
So do you, maybe you don't want to tell people, but basically all of us that have ever been on the committee remember that we were told that the only way we got off the committee was actually to die. So
I don't remember saying that.
That was clear from the beginning, and she wasn't going to have many exceptions to that rule. So anyway, it was
You know
really
what?
fun
And there
to
was-
be part of it.
If you go through this, there's only a handful that didn't stay through the whole
Yeah.
10 years.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then one more thing is the volunteers. To put an event on like this takes a lot of people. You
So
guys,
many.
it just takes everything to put it all together. I started in February, and we as a group, I think, started meeting in February once a month, and then as it got closer, it was 2 times a month, and then at the end there, it was like
Every 12 hours.
Yeah. But so I could never name all the volunteers by
Yeah.
any means,
So,
but I think at times, pretty close, we had between 80 and 100 volunteers.
oh,
You know,
yeah.
and
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I just don't think, just the stuff, I mean, there's so many little tiny things. I think when you were talking about the chili and the people that made the chili, some very dear friends of Vicki, I mean, that was their annual tradition. They, you know, the tent got set up for the chili. They knew what to do. They did it in the cold and the snow and the wind and the rain and the sun. But they did that for years, a group of them. And they, you know, they enjoyed it. They look forward to it. And there's so many groups like that that have been so instrumental. We can't, certainly Nancy mentioned and maybe someone else too, but the Elks became such a significant partner. We had stuff going on at the Elks from days before the holiday stroll right till midnight of the holiday stroll, and we couldn't stand any longer. And so I know it was good for them, but it was certainly an important part of how the holiday stroll evolved.
Absolutely. And I want to give thanks to the Elks because they were wonderful. We made, the chili committee made their chili there, and we bagged the almonds, you know. We went that
Did a
morning.
lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So you mentioned reindeer, so it seems like a good time for our next poll. As many of you will remember, we've had a number of animal sightings at the holiday stroll. And so we're going to have a poll, and you're going to get to select which animal has not been to the holiday stroll. We'll see how well you do on this one. So obviously, when we've had these Red Talks all of 2020, one of the main things we have asked the companies has been the impact of COVID. And we've had a whole range of businesses be part of this series, but clearly there was an impact for the holiday stroll this year. And I thought, Tracy, maybe you'd just say a couple of things about, you know, the decisions you guys had to make and kind of some of the other things you did to still make that season festive this year, and other things you'd want to add about 2020.
Sure. Yeah, this year there were the governor's orders, and he shut down the restaurants and bars right before Holiday Stroll started. And we knew we couldn't gather because every place that you wanted to close down the street would consider to be a gathering place, and you couldn't have more than 50 people in that gathering space. So we decided not to close down any of the streets, and just to create activities outside of the shop. So you could just walk by and look inside the 12 Days of Christmas windows. We had an I Spy window. We had a photo booth. We had lots of meetings with the city, with the Public Works and the police department, and they were so creative in helping us develop a space at Bay Point Park so we could do a drive-through Santa. And then Mike Murphy, who was just genius, created this long microphone. So the microphone would swing into the car so the kids could talk to Santa. So his speaker was right in front of them, and then Santa's speaker would be out in front of everyone else so everyone could hear what Santa was saying. So it was so creative. And there was, I think they counted 150 to 160 cars that went through there. So that was very successful, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. It wasn't an easy year to plan an event when you really couldn't do any of the significant things that would be part of it, but I give you a lot of credit. I think we just had a question about, do we know who won the 12? Was there a giveaway for the 12 windows?
Yes, and that was decided today. And honestly, I wasn't sure because I wasn't a part of that.
Okay.
As far as drawing the person. And I didn't look on Facebook today either, but there may have been some people announced. There was 3 prizes.
Okay, awesome. So you have to look at the Holiday Stroll Facebook page, or maybe the Downtown Main Street Facebook page too, to find out who those winners are, but thanks for that question. So if we're gonna close our animal poll and see if anyone knows which animal did not show up ever in the 19 years of the Holiday Stroll. How's that voting coming? Let's see. Oh, you guys are so smart. Why would you think there wasn't a camel? I was like, can a camel live in Minnesota? I don't know, but I think it's nice to point out the significance that the church played with the live nativity. I don't remember, Nancy, if you said what year that started, and I think it started in the Lily's courtyard at the time. And then it got moved, and it was kind of a joint effort, I think, with a number of churches. I thought there were a few churches involved, but maybe not.
I think it was just Christ Episcopal.
Was it? Okay. Anyway,
I
there you
believe
go.
So much. It grew
2000.
so much at the at Lily's that we had to move it to Christ Episcopal. There was just no room. And then I think you're right, if I remember right, Tracy. It was just Christ Episcopal that put on the live nativity
But
Yeah.
it was quite a
at
thing.
that time.
Christ
Well,
Episcopal had the live nativity, but Cornerstone Community Church, they have had animals inside
Yes.
of their space too, but it wasn't part of the live nativity. It was two separate events.
But they would hold, like, I don't remember, it was like on the half hour, maybe 3 or 4 performances of the live nativity throughout the evening of the Holiday Stroll. And it was just a really fun attraction. And literally people couldn't see it. It was just too crowded in that courtyard area. So it got moved, and that was a really exciting part. So I wanted to go back to the animal list real quick and talk about that, because obviously there were reindeer and we've seen them. I think they've been here a few years. The penguins were a huge hit. Although, for the record, everyone, penguins are expensive. So it wasn't something that the stroll could keep up. But I don't know if anyone else wants to talk about. I mean, I don't remember the owl or the eagle, but Tracy, or are there some animal stories that you want to share?
Oh, well, the penguins were a huge hit.
Yes.
But they were warm weather animals, actually. They couldn't be outside. So we had to find a place inside for them, which not everybody wants animals, running around their carpeting. So they came packaged very neatly, and they had this little flooring that they put down and everything. And we only could get them a few years, and then they're kind of the endangered list, so we couldn't get them anymore.
Yeah.
So we had to be creative, and what else could we do? And we thought about getting the owl. I can't remember. Great horned owl. And then one year we did the eagle, and then we did some puppies and kittens and talked about adoption and things like that. But what I wanted to say was that the city had been so kind in letting us use the basement of the library, and they put down all of this plastic because you're tromping around with boots, and could be rainy, could be messy, and they've just been so wonderful to work with, and so accommodating. I didn't appreciate everything that they did until we had to kind of orchestrate it or do some of the things ourselves, like putting up no parking signs, 3 days before or whatever. They had to be up 20 hours before. And we, grabbing my family, dragging them out into the cold and putting up no parking signs with duct tape that doesn't stick, because they had to be up on Thanksgiving Day,
That's right.
like that.
Yeah.
But I do appreciate everything that the city does and does it now that we're a city-sponsored event. I really appreciate that a lot.
We appreciate the event. It was always interesting when Nancy or now you guys, Tracy and your committee, you come, I don't know what time of the year, August, September, and say, oh, we've got some new ideas we want to try this year. And then we get the place on fire and buildings and grounds together, and we make it work. But yeah, it's always interesting to see what you come up with every year.
And you know what, then that reminds me of the parking lot. When we moved everything over to the parking lot, and it was like a year or two after, then the city helped put electricity into that parking lot. Otherwise,
Yeah,
we had extension cords running from all over and we had a
Yeah.
generator.
We
And then
ran
the city-
a big generator a couple of
Yeah.
years. Yeah.
Yeah. So the city really helped us out. I mean, we couldn't have done that to
No.
put electricity, but the city was real big on helping us do that.
Well, and now when we've redone downtown, we've done some of the sidewalks, we put electrical vaults in the sidewalks so that when we have these events like this, we have a power source. So that's all been
Well,
factored into
great.
reconstruction projects.
Oh.
Who knew
That's a
that
great
that was
idea.
gonna be such a gift? Like, I just remember all the years of the power and the challenges, and it was just so crazy. So, I mean, that really is a gift, and obviously not just for the Holiday Stroll, but there's just no way to measure the partnership and the significance of it for them, this being so successful. Yeah. Nancy, I don't know if you were going to start, I don't know if we were coming to the ornaments, but I'd love for people to know about the ornaments, and I'd love to hear a story or two from Vicki, who has spent a good portion of her life painting them.
You
So
know
what-
best, Vic.
What year did we start with ornaments?
I have that.
Whoever
Well,
knows.
I do. Look, Vic, just a sec.
I think I have it written down somewhere.
Well, and
2005, got it.
good job, Shannon.
Okay, Vicki, so how in the world did we decide that hand-painted ornaments was a really good idea?
Well, being on the committee, if you got an idea, it was your project and you ran with it. And so we're always doing something for fundraising. Well, one year I came up with the idea, well, what about an ornament? Everybody would like a keepsake from this wonderful event. So from there, we were going to look into purchasing some type of man-made, factory-made ornament. And from there, I said, well, I have painted ornaments. What if we would hand paint them? So from there,
Little did you know.
I contacted local artists. They were all anxious to try this. At that point, they could paint anything they wanted. I got them their ornaments and the paint. And with the help of Nancy Murphy, who had a studio out at the Anderson Center, we went to her studio and we would meet, I believe, 1 or 2 nights a week, when we got closer to the event. And anyone could come and paint. The studio was open, Nancy was there, and she was so helpful. You know, just anything you said, she was there to help you, and hers were beautiful. And then from there, we just did freehand. Then in 2005, we started to get local artists to paint our posters. And from there, we came up with the idea we should paint something from the poster and make it a full artistic experience. So the year we started, 2005, we started our first hand painted poster from local artists. Prior to that, Annie Stump from the paper did a digital poster. When we did the original art poster, we took our ornament ideas from those posters. And I'm going to read those off quickly because I think those local artists should be talked about a little bit. In 2005, it was Jim Fair. 2006, Doris Gardis. 2007, Nancy Murphy. 2008, Jim Schammel. 2009, Susan Walsh. And 2010, Dan Weimer. And then after we stopped getting the local artists, we went back to digital, or I believe it was someone from the shoe that did those. But the years that we had the posters, then the poster was on for sale, and it was just a beautiful way to bring these artists or give these artists acknowledgement in the community. So that was a really fun year. And then our ornaments were painted to go with that. And our ornament painters, I have to, at this point, then we went to our small group because it was just easier to have fewer painters, because it was kind of, we all had our little own techniques, and it was just easier to keep it to a small group. So it's been Kak Turvold and Smerzniak and myself, and then Joni Julie has done all of our calligraphy on the back through the years. And then last year, Pat Valtakis joined the group. And then this year we did not do one because of COVID. So, and then, I don't know, we've all been doing this for, well, actually 2002, I think we started them and have been doing them till 2019. So, and all the proceeds, we figure we probably have done over 3,000, and all the proceeds have gone back totally all profit to the Holiday Stroll. And I've had volunteers selling them, never have had anybody say no to me. And places in town have offered to sell them, never have anybody say no. In every event that I've worked on, every volunteer has said, yes, what can we do? I just can't say enough good about that type of thing, and the experiences that to be a part of this event have been so wonderful.
Well, Vicki,
I have a couple.
I just want to say
Go ahead.
that, I mean, I don't think anyone would have any idea the number of hours that group has spent away from their families with paint in their hand to create masterpieces. And of course, no two are alike, and they're just extraordinary. So on behalf of everyone in this community that's benefited either from the Holiday Stroll or owns one of those ornaments, thank you for all the time that you gave.
Thank you. And I know that everybody would be very pleased to hear you say that, because they have worked very hard on them. And some years were probably easier than others, because we have personal things that have happened in our lives. And so some years were much easier than others to get them done. And some years, some did more, some of the painters did more than other ones, and it just went on and on. But, and I've been lucky enough through these years to be blessed with grandchildren. And they are so very proud of those ornaments that their grandma was a part of painting, and also very proud of the Holiday Stroll that I have been a part of that. So, and there's nothing better than watch that parade with your little grandchildren on your shoulders and things like that. So it's been a wonderful experience for me.
I'm
Let's
guessing,
see, I don't know if
I'm guessing that Nancy might be one of the only people that has every year. I imagine you have a beautiful collection, Nancy, and maybe one day it'll be in the Holiday Stroll Hall of Fame, your collection.
I have them on my tree, and I broke one last year, and I was just sick. I'm like, oh my God. Well, I do have some connections, and I thought, well, maybe Vicki would repaint me one. But I had a double of that one, and I have no idea. And who knows? I don't know. But it was meant to be, I guess.
I guess
But
so.
I was saying, I'm kind of to the point now where I think I'm going to end with them, and I'm going to not put them on my tree because I'm so scared they're going to break.
Yes, they need a very special spot.
Yeah, maybe something like that.
They do. When Vicki was talking about all the people that she's asked and who have so willingly said yes to this, I think it's important, and Tracy, I'm hoping you'll say a few things about ways that people can be involved. The Holiday Stroll isn't going anywhere, and 2021 will be the 20th year. We don't probably know exactly what that will look like, but Tracy, do you want to just share a little bit about the different ways that people might be able to engage in this amazing activity?
Well, we do have different activities that are run. This last year, those things didn't happen. But we love it when organizations will step up and say, we will take care of selling merchandise, or we'll take care of watching the line for people that go through the library to see the eagle, or whatever happens. So if you can contact us through our Facebook page, through our website, we can in turn get you situated, and then of course we need people that day just for setup, tear down, things like that too. So there's always a need for people to help out. Before we go though, I really want to say that this stroll has had a huge impact on our community. not just, just the amount of people that it affects and the people that, go to it and go every year, but financially. In 2017, the University of Minnesota Extension Tourism.
Don't give away the answer. Don't give away the answer. We'll do the poll. Okay. All right.
We invited them to come down to take a tally, and they situated in 5 different places of entrance points to tally how many people came that year. And of course, it was a beautiful year. The weather was perfect. And then they also went around and surveyed the businesses afterwards to ask just how much money was brought in that day from their sales. And they came up with between $475,000 to $500,000 in those 5 hours of that, of the stroll that year. And an average of $610 was kind of like per business that, or I'm sorry, 610 visitors per business were in their establishments, which I think is fantastic. And for some of those businesses, the stroll doesn't just mean putting out lights and having fun. And it is one of their biggest days of the year, and they depend on us doing this. And that's what keeps me going, knowing that this impact is being made in our community every year. And we just got to keep moving forward and keep doing this for those businesses downtown. And it's not the businesses downtown, it's the hotels, it's the gas stations, it's the restaurants, just, outside of those businesses. It really brings in people from all over. The furthest away was Germany. A couple from Germany stayed at the St. James Hotel, and they came the next year on that same weekend because they had so much fun. But that wasn't the year I was running it. That was the year Nancy was running it. So.
Well, and I think based on what you said, first of all, the poll is on the screen. So go ahead and guess what the number was in 2017 when they did that kind of clicking at the entrances to try and gauge the attendance that year. So go ahead and vote for what number you think it is. But I mean, those two things together, the opportunities to be involved and the significance to the community. It's a wonderful way for people to be involved in something that matters so much to so many. And, I think obviously it might sound a little scary after what Nancy described with her committee having to be on for their entire life. But you can be on the committee, you can be on a subcommittee, you can volunteer for 2 hours before the event, you can help later that night with a cleanup activity. There's so many ways for people to be involved. And I know Tracy and her team hope to have a really, really exciting year in 2021 with the anniversary, amidst all the parameters that may still be in place next fall. But it's a really, I think, amazing opportunity for any of you that are listening or know people that might have an interest in being part of really history and a tradition that matters to so many. So please take some time to do that. All right, let's see how the voting is going. Has everyone voted? Tracy, do you want to announce what the number was?
It was 21,173.
That's a big number. So that's a big number. And that was 1 year. So you think about, I was telling Nancy, we had a couple of meetings getting ready for this. So one, it was very fun for all of us to be together and reminiscing. But I remember the first year that we were able to get up high. Someone got on a building at the 3rd Street, at the Bush and 3rd Street intersection, and was able to get some photography. And it was jaw-dropping. I mean, we all knew it was busy, but we were crazy. Everyone was running around and, you can tell it's crowded, but for someone to capture those first images up high of those thousands of people, I mean, it really was. It made us cry.
I went up on somebody's balcony and on Bush Street and took those pictures, and it just overwhelmed me because I mean, all of those, the sea of people that you could see down there, all having fun and the music playing, and it just made it all worth it. All those.
We have I think a couple of comments that have probably either come off of Facebook. We had someone say that the Santa setup was awesome. Thank you for having it this year. They needed to get out and it lifted their spirits. Someone who said their ornaments are their favorite decoration. So Vicki, thank you for giving up so many hours of your life. Yeah, someone asked if the chili increased every year, and I think, yes, it did. It did. Again,
It did.
it sounded really simple that the committee would just get together and make enough chili for people, and then pretty soon it was real obvious that that wasn't going to work, and that's when the restaurants started donating and we mixed it all together. But I know I want to be respectful of our time. We're right at 4:59, so I want to make sure and thank each of our panelists today for being part of this discussion and for the time and the energy and the passion and the love that you've given to the Holiday Stroll. I know it meant a tremendous amount to me to be part of it. As a committee member and then as a store owner, it's just tremendous, and it has such a positive impact. And I think the other thing that's so important to remember, especially I think now more than ever, because people can live anywhere in a way that has never happened before. You know, when you think about how many of our companies are virtual, fully virtual, may never return to full-time office environment. So people come here and they have this, you know, evening experience, and it fills them with joy and happiness and pride, and they wonder what would it be like to live here or have a business here, you know, or raise my kids here. And, you know, although that's a longer term objective for all of us, this certainly, you know, feeds into that experience and to what leads people to want to call Red Wing their home for their business and or their family. So we should be proud and excited, and we're really looking forward to the next year and to the 20th anniversary. I hope we all have a role to play in it. And then just thank you, each of you, again, for all you've done for the Holiday Stroll and for taking this time this afternoon to share with all of the people that are watching. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy, can you push the end button?